Okay, we are doing more on expected value, and this is a expected value problem. I would say it always comes down to probability times the amount you get if that happens, and another probability times another amount, and another probability times another amount, and then what do you do at the end? You add them all up. That's all there is to it. So this one's probability is a little higher to win the 100,000. Okay, because there's a lot more people, 10 times as many people. 10 people out of the 10 million are going to win it. And the last one is 1,000 people out of the 10 million who try are going to win the $1,000 prizes. If you actually multiply this all out, you're going to get a value. It's the expected value. But that's if lottery tickets were free. Do you get what I mean? So we just got to figure out, this is what lottery tickets will be worth in this lottery. This does not mean all lotteries. In this lottery, they'll be worth. All right, so I'm going to pause for a second while you multiply those three things out. Check with the people near you and see if you get the same three things. Add them up. It's probably a small dollar amount. It's not worth too much, but we'll see if it's worth what a lottery ticket usually costs. I'll pause for a second while you try that. Okay, I'm back with you. So, what did you get for that top number of the three? 0.1. In money, what is that? That part of the lottery ticket is worth 10 cents. Then the fact you could win the next prize is worth something too. How much is that worth? Also comes out to 10 cents. And the third part of the lottery ticket, 10 cents. Lottery ticket, sorry, I added them in my head by accident. I'm going to add them down here. Lottery ticket is worth 30 cents. How come they charge? Well, our actual lotteries don't pay out this way necessarily. They pay out different ways, but would you agree in general they charge more than they're worth? Okay, and some states use that for like certain things. Like in our state, I think it's used for environment, but I'm not positive about that. But I know in some states that's used, the extra money that's made is used towards the environment in that state. Like for instance, they'll I don't know, they'll buy farmland that they can convert into duck nesting areas and that kind of stuff. And other states will use it for education. Other states will use it to just put in their general budget. But a lot of people consider lotteries to be a tax on the poor. Why? Poor people buy them more than wealthy people buy them, right? And if we all know that they're not a great deal, then it's a way to kind of like, I don't think this is anybody's like, I'm going to set out to try to rob poor people. But it tends to take money away from poor people more than it takes it away from wealthy people. You don't see Bill Gates like lining up to buy lottery tickets, right? So, and I'm not saying that anybody who buys lottery tickets is dumb. I've bought lottery tickets before. I think it's just kind of fun. But that doesn't mean that I think I'm going to win or that I put lots of money in it. I've actually, honestly, I've heard the disturbing idea of that's my retirement plan is I'm going to buy lottery tickets my whole life and I think I'll win someday and then I won't save money for retirement. I'll do that. I've heard that, like legit. Yes. I got you. So you're saying if you bought every single ticket that was possible to buy, you would be, it's true that you would be guaranteed to win the lottery, but there's so many complications, like you said, that it's so hard to actually buy every single combination. You know, who's going to keep track? How many are there? You know what I mean? Like you'd have to have so many people keeping track of all that, and then you got boatloads of lottery tickets, and then how are you going to find the one that won? Holy cow! And does the state even have enough paper to print all of those lottery tickets to buy every single one? And so, anyway, that is an interesting concept. I'm sure more than one person has thought. I've got $100 million. Should I just buy this lottery jackpot? That's 300 million. And that is an interesting thought. You could guarantee yourself a win, but the problem is you could win, but so could 5 other people, and then you'd have to split it with them equally. And so then you spent 300 million or to like of your money to buy all the tickets or whatever, and now you're not going to get 400 million. You're going to only get like 100 million, and you lost a ton of money. And so anyway, it's never a good idea to try to buy every ticket. Yes.
And if you hired people to help you with it, they're probably going to want to share.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you can bet some of the people, if you hired them to help you with it, and they figured out that they had got the winning ticket, they might be like, "Oh no, I didn't buy that for you. I bought that for me." It could, anyway. Okay, so we have a value of 30 cents. If the price tag is $1, we'd go like this: minus $1. Do you get then my net answer's negative? That means I expect to lose money. That's just a general sign for it's not a good deal. If it's negative, that means it's not a good deal. If it's positive, it means it's a good deal. Is there any good deals out there? Yeah, but it's kind of rare. Most companies that are selling you stuff have got it set up so it's a good deal for them, of course. They want to make a profit. So there's not too many times when it is a good deal, but sometimes if you are like the exception to the rule, then like it can be a good deal. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're buying Apple Care on your iPhone, but you personally know that you're going to be using your iPhone while juggling on a unicycle in this show where you do it out on the concrete every day for the next 2 years. You think it's more likely that you're going to be breaking your iPhone than the average person? It depends on how good a juggler you are. Fine. Anyway, the point is you obviously have a higher risk, and therefore it actually might be a good deal for you to buy the insurance on this or that. So if you know your probabilities are different than other people's, you can use that to your advantage. All right, so let's do a warranty one because these are really important. We didn't talk about it very long yesterday. The Apple, we just looked this up last hour, so you'll benefit for us not having to look it up. A brand new iPhone nowadays costs, without a contract, which is the way most companies are doing it nowadays. They used to have the 2-year contract, so those have kind of gone away. You can still get them, but it's really rare. They're pretty much all going to monthly contracts. And you can get a phone, and they'll say, oh, it's only $30 a month to get an iPhone, but then you're locked into it for 2 years again to pay off the phone. Even if the contract, like your service contract doesn't go that long, it'll go that long just to get your phone paid off. Nobody gives you a free iPhone anymore. It's just built into their monthly payment. And if you've got a 2-year plan, they divide it by 24. They really don't give you a good deal on the phones anymore. I checked, and unless you want to go with a used one or something like that, that's totally different. But if you want a brand new state-of-the-art iPhone 6S, it's going to cost you about $650. The only question is if you're going to pay for it monthly or if you're going to pay for it all up front. So that's what the iPhone 6S is worth nowadays. It's a brand new one. Although right this second isn't probably the greatest time to buy one. You know why? The new one's coming out. And as soon as the new one comes out, this one instantly is worth at least $100 less, maybe even $200 less, because everybody will want the brand new one. They don't know for sure what this next one will be called, but we're assuming it's going to be iPhone 7 because usually every other year they give it a new number. Like it'll be the 6 and the 6S and the 5 and the 5S. And it should be a redesign too. Like it should look different. Like if you looked at one across the room, you should be able to go, oh, that's one of the new ones. So they're making it different. Some of the word on the street might be curved glass, all glass instead of having metal back. Could be, but the glass will be incredibly strong. There's all kinds of rumors, and we never know, and that's part of the genius of Apple is you don't know. You might think you know, but you don't know.
I've heard a lot of things about having a screen and a home button on the side, a lot of crazy things.
Total redesigns. Yeah. Yes. Right, right. Yep. It's totally speculation, but it is kind of fun to speculate. If I were to advocate and if I was like the boss, I would be saying, make one that can handle being submerged. I think a lot of people get really annoyed by that. And there is stuff you can put on your iPhones that will do that. And oh, I have seen pictures of that. They'll tell you that you can put it in water, but only at your own risk. And like Apple won't say you can put it in water, but You can put it in water, like I saw a video of it, and you can have it running underwater. Like it will submerge, but it won't last very long. And if you put it very deep at all, pressure tends to force the water in, and so it could only be under like a little bit of water for a very short time. If they could make it completely submersible just all the time, can you imagine how cool it would be? Like you could jump in like in the Caribbean and you're like swimming and like videotaping fish and stuff without having to like put a coat case on it. That would be, I think that would be a feature that would sell a lot. People would be like, ooh, I know it's super, that would be really cool. Don't have to worry about water anymore. Another thing I would advocate for is like super hard to break. Like you can throw it on the ground, it doesn't break. I don't know if they can do it or not, but that would be cool if they could. Yes? I do get there is a downside for Apple, but I would just think they would sell so many more of them. You know, I mean, that it would overcome the fact that they don't get to sell them to broken iPhone people anymore. Yeah, but I hear you. They may not be able to even make it that strong. Yes?
So you've heard of Prince Rupert's drop, right? They drop melting glass and it's basically unbreakable.
I haven't heard of it, but I know they're testing different kinds of glass for strength.
There's like this type of glass where they take out basically ions in the middle of the glass where it has enough
Oh, cool.
traction to itself where
It's holding itself together. Interesting. Cool. And I know that everybody knows that there are some super strong kinds of glass out there and stuff. It's just, can they actually put it all together into one phone that it is not, you know, like is not going to be too expensive too. Like, you know, like for $5,000, I'm sure they could build a submersible, unbreakable iPhone that was whatever, but nobody would spend $5,000 for a phone. I mean, actually, there'd be a few people, but anyway. So if $650 is your price on the phone, it might surprise you to find out that the AppleCare costs more now than it used to. It's $129. And if the phone actually breaks, you have to pay a deductible of $99. So that's a lot to pay, making us a total of 228, is it? Thank you. Brain shut down for a second there. $228 to actually utilize the iPhone protection plan. Okay? This is if your phone actually breaks, now you're going to have to pay that $99 to get the next phone, and you spent $228 out of the phone's total cost, which is $650. All right, so the question is that smart or not? And believe it or not, according to last hour's data, I'll gather the data from you in a second, it is actually still a good deal. But it all depends on what now? We know the amounts. The probability of breaking it, which depends on what you're going to be doing and all those kinds of things. So what I'm going to use for probability of breaking it is a fairly simple, it's not accurate, but it's simple. I'm going to ask you, in the last 2 years, how many of you have broken a phone? At least one phone. And I'd like you to, on your hand, hold up how many phones you have broken in the past 2 years. Okay, that changed it totally. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Okay, we have broken 21 phones out of, there is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 2, 4, 6, 28, 29. We've broken 21 phones out of 29 people. So, 21 out of 29, it breaks. And then it works. So, there were, out of, in this room anyway, there was 8 out of 29 where it just worked the whole time. There's our probabilities. What's our amounts we get? Now, I want you to just think about this. If you have a phone that breaks, I know it's more complicated than this, but you're getting a new iPhone out of them for this deal. They're going to take your broken one and give you a brand new one. I know you could think of this a lot of ways, like they're really only giving you a repair, or they're giving you a new phone, but you don't get to keep the old phone. You have to give them your old broken phone. See what I mean? So they're kind of not really giving you 650 bucks. They're giving you 650 bucks, but you're giving them your broken phone, which you could actually sell. Check it out. Look on eBay sometime. You can sell a broken phone for like half the price of a new one, because depending on the break, somebody can just buy it, replace your screen, and then it's like a brand new one. Yes, sir.
Well, wouldn't it be out of how many phones the entire class has to use? How many people are using it?
I gotcha. If we're gonna count it based on people versus based on phones, I agree. We could change that. So why don't we just we'll simplify it. Instead of doing how many phones you broke, we'll just do it based on people. People, I'm assuming you've only owned one phone at a time. I know there might be exceptions, but if we just keep one person going with one phone the whole time, then how many of you had one break? Just how many of you had one break? I'll just count the hands instead of the fingers on the hands this time. 1, 2, 3. Okay, if you had one break during the last 2 years. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, I'll go with that. I agree. We could argue it a lot of different ways, but I'm going to go with 12 of them break, and that leaves how many of them working the whole time? 17. All right. Now let's do the math on it. That's probability times this is the amount you get. If you have a broken phone, we're going to say you get 650 bucks. I agree that there's a lot of ways you could argue that. You're really only getting a repair, or you're getting that price minus the value of your phone, but we're going to keep it simple. We're getting a $650 phone out of the deal. And the next piece is, this one confuses people a lot of times. How much do I get if my phone works? Try it sometime. Walk into Apple and say, my phone works, give me money. That doesn't make any sense, right? You're not going to give you anything if your phone works. Now, if you look at the key on this, I want to warn you. On the key on this, some of the teachers here are going to have you subtract the cost of the warranty here and here. I am not, because I think there's an easier way. Instead of subtracting in 2 spots and not being allowed to multiply by 0 this way, I'm going to just subtract it once at the end when we're all done. And my way allows you to multiply by 0. Yay. I get 0 for this part, and that means you really only have to multiply the top. It's faster too. So on the top, 12/29 times 650, what is it? 200 and what? 268. Then, and I'm rounding here, but if 268 plus 0 adds up to 268, because it's P times A and then add, then what's that? It's the fair price of the warranty. That's what the warranty would have been worth. Now, do we actually make 268 bucks? No, because we have to pay 228 for it. We had to pay for that warranty. So net is 40 bucks. And according to your numbers, your expected value is you will make 40 bucks. Now again, does that mean each kid makes 40 bucks? Of course not. Some kids lose money, some kids make money. It's on average, you'd make or save money on this deal, $40. So even though this is a really expensive warranty, it still might be worth it because of how often phones break. Now again, I know this was totally not done with all the factors of the real world, because you can now, there's a lot more places that'll sell you iPhone repairs. Like you can go to little kiosks in the mall and they'll fix your phone. So you don't have to necessarily get a brand new iPhone. If your phone breaks, sometimes you can just bring it to those little repair places. But what I just met with them last week, they were here at our school repairing some iPads, and what they said is Apple is trying to get it so that they're the only people that can do the repairs. They kind of are annoyed that people can repair iPhones besides them. And so what they're doing is making the price of the components ridiculously high. So for Apple, the price of the component doesn't matter. Like if the screen, because to them, they make the screen. It doesn't cost them that much. They make them. It may cost them something, but they can set the price to be $275 for a screen, and then the poor repair guy has to buy that screen and then charge you $275 plus whatever they're going to mark it up for their labor. You know what I mean? So there sounds like it's making it harder and harder to hire these little individual repair guys to fix phones. At least that's what they told me, and I believe them. Yes? Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I think it was easier to repair them back then, and cheaper. And now as it's getting more complicated, screens, that's part of it too. The screen is getting more complicated because it's got this force touch thing built into it, and that makes the screen much more complicated because it has to be able to sense through the glass how hard you're touching and stuff. So that increases the prices. But moral of the story, I wanted to show you one because most of the ones you're going to do, it's always going to come out that the company is like robbing you. It's true. Most of the examples we do have a big negative expected value. It means you lose lots of money, the company makes lots of money. But if you utilize it a lot, if your percentage of breakage is high, which I'd say 12 out of 29 is pretty high. I'm not saying your guys are klutzes or anything. I've broken a couple phones myself over the past several years. But if you're a more active person, would you agree that you're more likely to break your phone than some granny who's like, slowly moving to the car and then has it in her purse, right? And then inside the purse, it's inside a case, and then, she never would think about bringing it out on the dock. I mean, and so anyway, you guys would be much more likely to break them than the average person. So that means you're more likely to have this be a good deal. For some people buying the warranty that are super safe, it's really not as good a deal because they probably wouldn't have broken it anyway. And Apple, if they were here, would say lots of things like there's peace of mind involved. You don't have to worry about it, so you should buy the insurance because then you won't have to worry about it. And they like it if you buy the insurance because then you're happy because it almost feels like you win when you break your phone because I get a new one. And it has happy customers, and if they want happy customers, they want to have people with more warranties because people who broke their phone and don't have the warranty are always like, oh, they're really frustrated and like kind of angry that the phone broke, like it's the company's fault that the phone broke. Like, I only dropped it from 3 feet, shouldn't have broken. Anyway, so they want you to buy their warranties. They would also say they can give you extra support for buying the warranty. So not only is this, in theory, expected value is positive for you, you also get to have software support during that time. So if something weird happens, like the phone starts blinking or, not really broken, but just weird, battery life isn't good or whatever, they'll repair a lot of things. So it's complicated. We're simplifying it down a lot. All right, so those are the two main kinds of problems you have to do. Things where you make a tree and you multiply it all out, and things where you do an expected value for like things that will possibly break, work or break, the insurance problems. There's one more kind of problem I got to talk you through, and that is, this is a little bit more weird. It's expected value of something that's not money, like expected value of children. What? How can you have a value of children? Well, expected value is really, it's an average of what you expect. Have you heard of like China's one-child policy? And they actually went away from that recently. And so, you can have more than one child now in China and not get in trouble. Yes?
It's only if both of your parents are single children, then you can have two children. And your partners.
So if everybody else stuck to the one-child policy before you, then you can have another one. Interesting. I didn't hear about that caveat. All right. Anyway, so you can find, this is just an average. It's basically just an average number of children or number of boys. Why would boys be valued in certain cultures? Boys carry on the family name, and therefore it's a bigger deal to have a boy than a girl. And I think it's really sad. If you're going to have somebody take care of you when you're older, if boys are able to make more money, then you're going to be taken care of better too. And there's all kinds of factors. But if you are looking at boy, girl, and in this scenario, it's going to be boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, girl. and we had, let's say that in your family, I don't know how exactly this would happen, but in your family, you knew that your family, for some reason, has this propensity to have lots of boys. Have you ever noticed that some families, like, have all boys? And of course, there'll be another family that have all girls. And on average, it kind of works out. But let's say that it's a 60-40 chance of boy versus girl. Do you get each of these guys has its own little probability then at the end? Then all we need is an amount. You get what I mean? We got their probability. We got to times it by an amount. So here's our probabilities. And 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 4 is 24 again. And the last one is 4 times 4 is 16. That went pretty fast, and there we go. What should those all add up to? 100%. Good. There's our probabilities. Now we need an amount. No, we're not going to set some bizarre amount like of money that each kid is worth or whatever. We're just going to say if we're just focused on boys right now, what's the amount that we have for this? 2. See, we need a probability. We need to times it by an amount, right? Here's a probability. And if we're focused on boys, how many boys does this route give us? 1. How many boys does this route give us? And the last one? And you always get to multiply by a 0 is fun because you just get 0. And this multiplying by 1 is easy. 0.24 and 0.24. And the last one, I think I can do that in my head. 0.72. There, I did my P times A's. Now I add them all up. 1 point what? Then if you have 2 children, this was having the first child, this was having the second child. If you have 2 children, how many boys should you expect? I know you can't have parts of a boy. I go, oh, that sounds terrible. Okay, I know you can't have only a percentage of a boy, okay? But how many should they expect? 1.2 on average. Yes. 1.2 boys is the expected number of boys. And I know that's weird. It's like you can't have 1.2 boys. But on average, we could actually figure that out in this room and see if people had more boys than girls in their families. You know what I mean? We could figure out how many boys did your family contribute, how many boys did your family out of the total number of people, and we could figure out an average number of boys in the family might be 1.2 out of 2 kids. So how many in here have there's 2 children at your house? Just 2. Just 2 children. Okay. In your family living at your house. So in other words, you and 1 sibling total. Okay, and I know it gets complicated because sometimes you have numbers of houses, but you just decide for yourself how to judge that if you have 2 siblings. 2 total, you and 1 sibling. All right, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 families to go by. And then this is a really simple one. How many boys are there? For the people that just raised their hand, how many boys are there in your family? So we have 13 households. How many boys are there? Hold up it's people who were holding up your hands before. Hold up the number of boys that there are. 2, 1, 0. Okay, yeah, you include yourself, yes. So we have 1, 2, I'm counting total. Actually, I'm going to write them all down. 0, let's just read them as you go. Keep going. Okay, keep going. I want to get all the data so I can massage the data later. 1, and, go to the back, and, any others? 2. Okay, I'm going to count these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Cool. Okay. How do I tell the average number of boys? All right. And now, why is there no probability involved in this? Because the probability of all of these is equally likely. Okay? So, all I have to do is average all of these. So how do I average these numbers? You add them all up, and you divide by how many there were, which was 13. What did it add up to? Not by 12. It was 11? Okay, 11 divided by 13 is? 0.8 what? 46. Okay. Now, is this a large enough sample size to like know for sure that this is true in Minnetonka? No. And we were only counting people with 2 children. That would left out people with single or triples or, you know, big families. Yes, sir.
It would be out of 26 because each person has 2 couples.
You are right. Let me think about this. But it shouldn't be 11 out of 26 or that'll be ridiculously low. I was trying to find the average number of boys per family. That's what I was trying to do there. And so you only count as one family. And if we take it out of 26, I think you're going to get, there's going to be a tiny number, and that's like way off. Unless everybody's killing off the boys. I don't think that's likely to be right. So this is a, what would you have expected in a 2-person family? Wouldn't it be kind of like 1 out of 2 would be boys? So it's actually a lower percentage of boys than you would expect. You kind of expect a 1 out of 2 to be boys. All right, so anyway, that is also an expected value. It just didn't have a probability component. And why? Because the probability of all of them was exactly the same. So then in that case, you just average them. I don't know if you remember this, but you remember that spinner at the very beginning that we did? Do you remember that you could have just averaged those 4 numbers? Why? Because the probability of all of them was exactly the same. And if that's the case, you can just average them. All right. So I hope you found some good real world examples there of kind of fun how you can see math in the real world. And your homework for tonight, you may skip problems 4 and 5. That'll save you some time, and I don't think they're that important. And if you do all of them except problem 4 and 5, you'll be ready. And I haven't graded in a couple days, so I'd be ready to have it graded. Yes, sir.
Wasn't there like a story or like something you're supposed to tell us?
I think that's all I have for the video for today.